mean, think about it. Your teenager can, flawlessly manipulate a TikTok algorithm to go completely viral.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. They can curate this digital life with the precision of a seasoned PR executive. But if you ask them to explain how a credit score actually works,
They freeze.
total freeze. Or what happens when a subscription auto-renews on a credit card that's carrying a 20% interest rate?
Yeah, that's when you get the blank stare.
Exactly. We are looking at a generation that is completely fluent in the technology of the future, yet wildly illiterate in the currency of the present.
Which is a terrifying gap.
It really is. And if you are a Gen X, Gen Z, or millennial parent looking at your 14 to 18-year-old right now, feeling this deep, quiet anxiety about how AI is going to impact their future, you are definitely not alone.
Not at all. I mean, it is arguably the defining challenge for parents today.
Right.
We are essentially trying to prepare them for a world that is, rewriting its own rules every 6 months.
Which is exactly why we're dedicating this time today. Welcome to episode 6 of the Human Edge podcast by PitchSuccess.
So glad to be here.
In today's deep dive, we're unpacking the PitchSuccess frameworks alongside this massive stack of data we've gathered from the World Economic Forum, Harvard Business Review, and Stanford University.
It's a lot of ground to cover.
It is, but our mission is to distill exactly why human-centric skills and deep financial literacy aren't just, nice-to-haves anymore.
Right.
They are the ultimate non-negotiable insurance policies for your child's future in the AI era. Oh, and by the way, as a career strategist and a parent of 2 teens myself, I need this just as much as anyone listening.
And as a workforce futurist and youth entrepreneurship coach, I see this play out every single day. But before we get into the heavy data, I really want to offer some calming advice straight from these sources.
Please, because I think a lot of parents are low-key panicking.
They are. Because for parents who grew up with the traditional formula, get a degree, land a solid entry-level job, climb the corporate ladder, the sheer pace of AI advancement just feels terrifying.
Yeah, it feels like your kid is already falling behind a machine before they even start.
Exactly. But the rules have simply shifted. The new formula isn't about picking the perfect future-proof job title.
Right.
It is about building adaptable capabilities.
Yeah.
I mean, your job isn't to crystal ball the exact right career path for them. It's to help them build the internal toolkit to navigate whatever path emerges.
When I was going through the notes for this, I realized my entire mental model was wrong.
How so?
Well, it's not about giving them a specific train ticket to a specific destination anymore. It's about teaching them how to build an off-road vehicle.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because the roads have completely changed. I mean, some have disappeared entirely, and the destination just keeps moving.
That off-road vehicle analogy is spot on. And to understand why those roads have disappeared, we really have to look at the mechanics of what AI is doing to the workforce right now.
Right. Let's get into the data.
So the World Economic Forum surveyed employers representing over 14 million workers. And their data projects that 22% of all jobs will be disrupted by 2030.
22%, that's huge.
It is, but, and this is the crucial part, they also project 78 million entirely new roles will be created.
Oh, okay.
So the issue isn't a lack of jobs. It's a fundamental structural shift in what those jobs actually require from a human being on day one.
Right. And when I was reading through the Harvard study we have in our stack, the one that tracked 62 million workers across almost 300,000 U.S. firms, I was actually shocked.
The drop in junior roles?
Yes. What they found is that junior positions, those classic entry-level jobs, are rapidly shrinking at companies integrating AI.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about the mechanics of it.
Well, yeah, because AI is automating the intellectually routine tasks. We're talking about summarizing the weekly meetings, cleaning up messy spreadsheets, drafting basic internal memos.
Exactly. And the fallout from automating those tasks is what creates this massive paradox for young adults.
The experience paradox.
Right. Because historically, doing those routine tasks, that was the training ground.
Yeah.
That was how a 22-year-old entry-level worker learned the business context. You sat in the boring meeting and took notes, and by doing so, you learned how the senior partners negotiated.
Right. You cleaned the data, and you learned what metrics actually mattered to the client.
Exactly. But now those tasks are gone.
Wait, so it's like a video game where they're being forced to skip the tutorial level entirely.
That's a great way to put it.
They're just being dropped into the final boss fight. How are they supposed to learn how to play the game if they don't get to do the basic foundational tasks first?
Well, they don't. At least not the old way.
Mhm.
And this brings us to Linda Grattan's research in the Harvard Business Review, which argues we have to fundamentally rethink how learning and resilience happen.
Okay, how so?
We as a society tend to view the messy, difficult human parts of learning as inefficiencies.
Right.
Working through intense frustration, navigating team conflict, struggling for days with a complex problem without a clear answer, we try to optimize those out.
And I mean, as a parent, it goes against every biological instinct we have to let them sit in that frustration.
Oh, totally.
When your kid is struggling on a group project because someone isn't pulling their weight, your immediate reflex is to jump in, fix it, maybe send a strongly worded email to the teacher.
But Grattan's research argues we have to suppress that urge. Those moments of friction aren't bugs in the system. They are the features.
The features, okay.
Protecting kids from struggle actually deprives them of their most valuable training ground. Because when your child navigates a conflict on that team project, instead of you stepping in to fix it, they are building a nuanced capability that no AI agent can replicate. Early struggles, including financial ones, are exactly what build long-term adult resilience.
Okay, but let's make this concrete. If we shouldn't protect them from struggle, what exactly are we preparing them for?
Fair question.
Because I hear words like resilience and adaptability, and my mind immediately goes to, like, generic corporate jargon. What does this actually look like for a high school sophomore?
Well, the World Economic Forum found that the top skills employers are demanding are analytical thinking, creative thinking, and resilience.
So the human stuff.
Exactly. The true skills gap is on the human side, not the technical side. And to translate that into something actionable for parents, we can look at the PitchSuccess framework.
Right, they have a whole system for this.
Yeah, they detail 6 specific human capabilities that complement tech fluency and financial literacy for teens.
Let's walk through those 6, because I want to understand how this isn't just corporate speak.
Sure. First is insight.
Okay.
And this isn't just processing data. An algorithm can do that infinitely better than we can. Insight is synthesizing information and making intuitive leaps based on lived human experience.
Oh, I see.
It's noticing a subtle shift in how your peers are behaving that the data hasn't even caught yet.
That makes sense. The data tells you what happened yesterday, but human insight senses what might happen tomorrow based on context.
Exactly. Second is presence.
Presence.
Yeah, in a world of remote work, asynchronous communication, and AI avatars, simply showing up authentically and commanding a room, whether physical or digital, is incredibly rare. It's the energy you bring to an interaction.
Right.
Third is clarity. This is persuasive communication that actually moves people to action. It's distilling complex ideas into a narrative that resonates with human emotion.
Wait, I need to push back on clarity for a second.
Go for it.
Honestly, I use an AI right now to draft a lot of my initial client pitches, and it spits out a grammatically perfect, highly persuasive email in about 3 seconds.
Sure does.
So doesn't that effectively outsource my own human edge? If an AI can write the pitch, why does my teenager need to master clarity?
Well, AI can absolutely draft the pitch. It can give you the baseline structure. But think about the actual delivery.
Okay.
When you are in the room or on the video call delivering that pitch and the client suddenly crosses their arms, their face tightens, and the energy shifts, can the AI read the room?
No.
Can it adjust its tone in real time? Can it project empathy to de-escalate a tense negotiation on the fly?
Definitely not. It can't read the microexpressions or understand that the client just had a terrible morning.
Right. And that is exactly why human capability plus tech fluency is the winning formula.
Ah, I see.
AI provides the baseline efficiency. The human provides the judgment, the empathy, and the real-time adaptation, which leads directly to the fourth capability. Connection. This is deep empathy and relationship building. People do business with and advocate for people they trust.
Makes total sense. And the 5th is confidence. Looking at the PitchSuccess definition, it's not about arrogance, right?
Not at all.
It's defined as the courage to take informed risks and pitch original ideas, knowing full well they might fail.
Yes, and finally, the 6th is adaptability. This is the resilience and agility to constantly reinvent themselves.
Because things are changing so fast.
Exactly. When their industry shifts or their specific role is automated, can they pivot without completely falling apart?
Okay, so we're asking kids to be incredibly adaptable, to take risks, and to reinvent themselves. But looking at the sources, there's a massive glaring contradiction here.
The financial piece.
Yes. Taking risks requires a safety net. How can a 22-year-old afford to be adaptable or take an entrepreneurial leap if they are completely financially paralyzed?
That is the pivotal transition in this entire discussion. You hit the nail on the head.
It just doesn't work.
No, you cannot exercise those 6 human capabilities if you are in a state of constant financial survival. Financial instability undermines everything. And the data on Gen Z's current financial foundation is deeply concerning.
It's honestly terrifying. Let me read some of these stats. Gen Z has the lowest financial literacy rate of any generation at their age.
Right.
Only 38% can answer basic financial questions. 43% have less than $1,000 in savings.
That's virtually zero buffer.
Exactly. The average Gen Z debt is already hitting $20,000, and up to 56% of high school-age students don't even understand the basic components of a credit report.
We really have to view those statistics through the lens of the new AI-driven gig economy. Think about how different the landscape is now.
Yeah, contrast it with the old way.
In the past, the traditional career path offered a massive amount of structural financial handholding.
True.
You landed a corporate job, they automatically enrolled you in a 401k, your taxes were neatly deducted from your paycheck by HR, and you had a highly predictable linear salary ladder. The system basically managed your money for you.
But today's reality is the portfolio career.
Right.
Meaning, a young adult might be working a 3-day-a-week corporate contract while also consulting on the side and running a digital storefront all at the same time.
Exactly. They are navigating wildly irregular income streams. They are dealing with freelance contracts, managing their own self-directed taxes, and trying to build self-funded retirement accounts.
That's a lot.
It is. Navigating that kind of economic terrain requires immense proactive financial intelligence. It is a completely different ballgame.
Which brings up a really counterintuitive point from the research. The sources argue that human financial judgment is actually the ultimate advantage over AI models.
Yes.
And at first glance, that sounds wrong, right? Because AI is mathematically flawless. It's great at numbers. Why wouldn't it be better at finance?
Well, it is flawless at the math. An AI can track your spending down to the penny. It can optimize a stock portfolio based on decades of historical data in milliseconds.
Right.
But developing strong financial judgment isn't just math. Judgment is evaluating what actually matters to you.
Oh.
It's weighing your personal risk tolerance against your life goals. It's defining the kind of life you want to build and making agonizing trade-offs based on your core values. No algorithm can tell you what your values are.
That's such a good point.
No AI can look at your life and decide if it's worth taking a 20% pay cut to pivot into a career that actually fulfills you. That emotional, value-driven calculation is entirely human.
There is this incredible anecdote in the research that perfectly illustrates this. It's about a former Meta product manager.
Oh, I love this story.
Right. She literally works in advanced AI every single day. She sees what's coming, and she openly admitted that she has no idea what jobs will even exist for her kids in 15 years.
Which is saying something.
Exactly. But her solution wasn't to force them into coding boot camps. She said she's focusing entirely on financial security and adaptability. She's fostering an entrepreneurial mindset in her teenagers, even if they never start a company in their entire lives.
Because the entrepreneurial mindset, assessing risk, implementing emergency planning, taking initiative in deep ambiguity is exactly what the modern workforce demands.
Yeah.
When you are financially secure, you have the runway to be entrepreneurial in your career. You can afford to be the rookie again.
Right. You can take the leap.
You can afford to take 6 months to learn a completely new industry when your old one gets automated. Without strong financial judgment and a financial buffer, you are just trapped in whatever role you currently have, hoping it doesn't disappear.
Okay, I am entirely sold on the stakes. The mechanics of this make complete sense. But let's get down to the practical reality of parenting.
The hard part.
Yeah. How do you actually teach proactive financial intelligence to a teenager? Especially when Kantar data shows that 54% of Gen Z's purchasing decisions are directly influenced by social media.
It's a constant barrage.
They are being bombarded by algorithmically perfectly targeted viral products and influencer lifestyles 24/7.
This is where PitchSuccess's wealth prep framework becomes an essential tool for parents, because it takes this massive, daunting task and breaks it into 4 digestible dimensions.
Let's break those down.
The first dimension is awareness. This is simply understanding the mechanics, where money comes from, where it goes, and how basic systems like credit and interest actually function.
So just the baseline knowledge.
Exactly. The second dimension is confidence. And this is crucial. It's about feeling empowered to look at your bank account and make decisions, rather than being paralyzed by financial anxiety or avoiding the topic entirely.
Okay. And the third is habits. These are the small, daily, compounding actions like tracking spending and setting aside a percentage of income automatically.
Spot on.
And the fourth dimension is judgment. This brings it all together, the ability to evaluate risk and reward in the specific context of their own life and values.
Yeah.
But let me play devil's advocate for a second, because I feel like every parent listening is thinking the exact same thing.
Good.
If I sit my 15-year-old down and try to force them to care about compound interest and long-term habits, right when all their friends are buying the latest viral sneakers on TikTok, aren't they just going to tune me out?
Probably.
Right. Am I not just positioning myself as the boring parent who is actively depriving them of fun?
That is the most common and most understandable fear parents have. But the research reframes this beautifully. Financial literacy is not about depriving teens of fun.
No.
Not at all. It is about teaching the mechanics of trade-offs. The difference between a financially literate teen and a financially illiterate one isn't necessarily how much they spend on enjoyment.
Okay.
It's whether they understand the future consequences of that spending. It's about empowering them to make conscious, deliberate choices rather than impulsive ones driven by a manufactured social media panic.
So it's the difference between buying the viral shoes because you planned for them, saved for them, and decided they bring you value, versus buying them because an app manipulated your dopamine receptors, and now you can't pay your portion of the phone bill.
Precisely. And the sources offer 3 concrete daily habits parents can implement immediately to start building this judgment muscle.
I need these. What's habit number 1?
Habit number 1, normalize money talk. Discuss the household budget openly. Explain the trade-offs you're making, like why you chose a road trip vacation over flying this year, for example.
Oh, that makes sense.
Most importantly, share your own past money mistakes. Transparency beats perfection every time.
Right, so it doesn't seem so intimidating.
Exactly. When kids see that financial decisions are a normal, everyday negotiation rather than a taboo source of stress, the anxiety around money starts to dissipate.
Okay, habit number 2 is giving them real responsibility. The research emphasizes that hands-on practice builds capability infinitely faster than any lecture or textbook.
Absolutely.
This could mean managing a monthly allowance or using a prepaid card where they track their own spending through an app. And the critical mechanism here is that they need to feel the real friction of running out of money before the end of the month. They need to experience that consequence while they are still under your roof, where the stakes are low and they have a safety net.
Which ties perfectly into habit number 3. Show the math.
Show the math.
But don't just show them a boring spreadsheet. Explain the mechanism of how money grows. Sit down and calculate how much that $5 daily iced coffee actually costs them in future retirement dollars using compound interest.
That is brutal, but effective.
It is. When a 16-year-old realizes that a $5 coffee today actually costs them $80 in future money, you trigger their natural loss aversion.
That is the real aha moment. It flicks a switch in their brain.
It absolutely does. It shifts a teen's mindset from viewing money strictly as something I spend to viewing it as something I grow.
Wow.
Once they see money as a powerful tool for their own future freedom and autonomy, the grip of social media influence starts to weaken significantly.
Because they realize what they're giving up.
Right. They realize the influencer isn't just selling them a product. The influencer is asking them to trade away their future flexibility.
That is so powerful. Let's bring this all together. We started this deep dive looking at the very real, very intimidating fear of AI taking jobs and erasing the traditional bottom rung of the career ladder.
We did.
We looked at how the tutorial level of the workforce is disappearing. But by unpacking this research, we've arrived at a surprisingly human, empowering solution.
We really have. The data is incredibly clear. The future does not belong to the young adults who memorize the most facts or learn the most software programs.
Nope.
It belongs to the ones who have built the internal toolkit to adapt. By suppressing our parental instinct to pave the way and actually letting our teens struggle and fail in low-stakes environments, We are helping them develop those 6 irreplaceable human capabilities: insight, presence, clarity, connection, confidence, and adaptability.
And by teaching them the mechanics of trade-offs, giving them the financial judgment to weather the inevitable transitions of this new gig economy, you are giving them the ultimate insurance policy.
That's exactly what it is.
You are future-proofing them from the inside out. And to help you put all of this into practice, you can actually take the free 5-minute assessment over at PitchSuccess.com.
I highly recommend doing that.
It's an incredible tool that personalizes a training path based on your child's specific stage of development, and it helps identify their unique strengths across those exact human capabilities we unpacked today. So head to PitchSuccess.com to check that out.
It's a fantastic resource for parents looking for a starting point. And, as we wrap up this deep dive into the research, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over as you watch your teenager navigate their world today.
Let's hear it.
If the data clearly shows that navigating human struggle, building radical adaptability, and developing independent financial judgment are the only true immunities to the automation wave, is the most radical, future-proofing parenting hack of the 21st century, simply learning when to step back and let your child fail.